Welcome to Resonate Podcast. We're here with MEINS from the Musicians Co-op, and he's going to be telling us all about the venue and the plans and its future, which is going to be pretty exciting for Lancaster and surrounding areas and beyond. Derek, thanks very much for joining us on the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Tell us a little bit about the Music Co-op for those who maybe don't know what it is.
The Music Co-op was opened 36 years ago. It was started by some students at the time who were at the university, and they were in various bands and found out that there was nowhere really in the city that they could rehearse. So I think they badgered the council for ages and eventually were given a very short-term lease, I think only for a year initially, on a building just over the road from where we are now. And they basically set up a kind of ad hoc rehearsal room and basically never got kicked out. So they just stayed there, and then the council just kind of let them, and went on for, as I say, over 30 years, and grew, and they built more rooms, and there was a recording studio in there. The idea of it, I think, initially was just to be a very cooperative thing, but just a cheap place for people to come and make music. And that ethos just kind of continued over the years, really. So yeah, a place to record and rehearse and not break the bank.
Absolutely. So what are some of the plans then that the Co-op's got?
So when the lockdown happened, it closed down, and then the building itself was in such disrepair that when everything started to open up again, it couldn't really be done. The building was falling to pieces, the roof was leaking, and everything was just becoming really dangerous in there. I think anyone who's even rehearsed in there over the last maybe 10 or 15 years would know what kind of state the building was in. So it's been closed now for around 3 years, I think, maybe a bit longer. But we've just received a proper lease from the council, which we never had before, which means that repairs are allowed to now take place to the building, and we've secured some funding from various different bodies. So work is actually starting now on completely refurbishing the building. The roof's been taken off and that's getting repaired at the minute, and then when that's done we'll begin on the inside. So we're basically trying to completely renovate it and then reopen it and get it back to the status in the community that it was in, but hopefully better because it's a brand new setup and everything's going to be fancy and new, hopefully.
Absolutely brilliant, and I bet as a musician that is an incredibly exciting prospect.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, that's kind of why I got involved in it. Like I say, I am very much new to being involved. I've only really been involved in the committee for the last year or so, whereas some people have been there from the start of it. But my big kind of inspiration for trying to get involved was just that I'm in a band myself and there's nowhere to practice.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's kind of, as much as I want it for the community, I kind of want it for myself.
Absolutely, I think you're absolutely right. I think I was fortunate in a sense in Dundee. We had one main rehearsal studio. It was right next to the train station, so you could make as much noise as you possibly wanted to, and nobody actually bothered. And now I believe that in the last sort of 10 years, there's actually now a second rehearsal studio that's open. So I know what it was like as a kid, how vital that was to have a space just to escape, to meet friends and just jam and make music, you know what I mean?
Yeah, so I grew up on a farm kind of in the middle of nowhere.
Right.
And we actually used to, the guy who owned the farm that my dad worked on let us use one of his old barns to practice in.
Oh, amazing.
We actually made an album in one of them too as well.
Did you?
Yeah, I was kind of lucky in that way, but there was no kind of community aspect to that. I think that's what's the exciting thing about the co-op really, is that we were lucky because we could just go into a farm shed and make music and that, but you never, there was no other musicians around, you never met people. Whereas with the co-op, like, there's going to be bands coming in and out, and you can meet people, you can organise gigs together, you can meet new musicians if you're looking for new musicians. Like, I think that kind of community aspect of it's the important thing really. We just need to ensure that that happens again when it reopens, but I think it naturally will. Like, that's the whole idea of it being a cooperative really, isn't it? Like, it's a space where people can come and do their thing and meet other people who are doing the same thing.
If you were to sort of take us through the visual aspect of the venue, what's the new space going to have that maybe the old space didn't have?
A lot of that's dependent on a lot of different factors, mainly funding. So there's ideas of what we want. So plans, ideally, I think the plan is to have 3 rehearsal rooms that will all be completely set up so you can just walk in, plug in and play. And then a designated recording studio with a live room and everything. If we can get funding for the full plans, there's talk about maybe having a small kind of event space upstairs, which would be something, again, that would bring other people into the co-op as well. But the main focus will be on having designated rehearsal rooms where people can just walk in, plug in and play. You don't need to bring your own amplifiers and drums and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, and having a functioning studio that people can hire out and record their music easily as well.
Yeah, that'll be absolutely and sorely needed as well, because so many people who do not have access to that equipment, either at home or who just maybe don't have that skill for that recording, that's going to be a vital lifeline for them as well.
Yeah, and I think personally the way that my band makes music, we write a lot of it on computers and just record the bare bones of it that way. But then you need somewhere, if you want to put drums on or if you want to record the singing in a more kind of professional way, then you kind of need to have access to a studio like that. So hopefully that can be something that people can do as well. Really.
Absolutely. There'll be musicians out there who can make the music but don't necessarily know how to mix the music. There'll be those who are really good at mixing and production but maybe aren't writing their own music, so there'll always be a space for everyone in that respect. So.
Yeah.
What have been some of the challenges then that you faced in creating a venue and a space such as this then for music makers to come?
I think with anything like this, obviously, it's been securing the funding to do it, really, because it costs a lot of money. A building that old that was in such kind of disrepair costs a lot of money to fix it, but we've got funding from the City Council, from the Community Ownership Fund, from the Shared Prosperity Fund and the Heritage Action Zone, which is in partnership with Historic England. So there's loads of different funding bodies that have been putting in various pots of money. So that's how we've been able to start the work. But again, we're going to need to try and secure funding for inside stuff. So trying to bring together all these different ways that we can just get it open again, really, because that's the main mission that everyone's got, I think, is just we just need to get it open again.
Yeah, absolutely. Are you looking then to additional funding and funders from, not just public funds, but also private funds as well? And how close a relationship have you got with the City Council in terms of driving that?
At the minute, there's no kind of private funding as such. I think with the nature of it being a cooperative, we probably want to avoid the kind of private route.
Yeah.
But we are doing things like we sell t-shirts through our website if anybody wants to buy a t-shirt. Doing various fundraising events that way. But yeah, I guess the main body of it's kind of coming from public funds, really.
Yeah. You got a cracking website as well.
Dominic does a lot of very good work for no money.
Yeah.
As does everybody really on the committee.
A lot of people do remember it when it was functioning and open and it was a real hub. And I think that the fact that, there is an excitement again, because obviously currently we're sat in the Cantina, which is a venue just directly opposite, which is a colossal size venue that has a whole range of different events and things. And the idea of within this area of Lancaster to be able to have a rehearsal studio, recording studio, and a functioning venue within walking distance of each other, I think is a really exciting thing.
And we've been working quite closely with the people here. So I think the idea that you can be in a band over there and write your songs, record them maybe, and then come over here and do a gig. Like showing people that you can do that, really, I think is an important aspect of it.
We've already spoken to Barry Lucas in terms of his work in bringing rock to college. Can you talk a bit more about the events that are planned very soon with Barry and the university? Yeah,
so we're doing an event with Barry on the Saturday, 16th March, up at the Great Hall at the university, which is where Barry used to promote gigs. Huge bands like Van Morrison, Paul McCartney, and Kid Creole and the Pretenders and all sorts of stuff.
That's right.
So he's going to be doing a Q&A with Andrew, who runs the library up there, during the kind of early evening, talking about his book and about all of the events that went on in the hall. And then afterwards they've asked the music co-op to curate an evening of music with bands and artists who are kind of affiliated.
Mm.
So there'll be the Q&A with Barry, and then we've got 4 bands playing, which is going to be really exciting. I think.
Amazing. Are the bands confirmed yet or still in talks?
We kind of wanted to show the variety of different types of music that's being made in Lancaster. Really. So we've got Field Lines Cartographer, who's a really cool ambient modular synth guy. He releases lots of music on Castles in Space, which is a go-to label for that type of music. Then we've got a band called Hawkmen Dive, who are a bit more indie rock type thing. Now we've got Maya Bug and Dave Shooter. So Maya plays contemporary and jazz kind of experimental cello, and Dave's an electronic musician, so he's going to be performing with her. And then we've got a band from Morecambe called Good Boy Nico, who are a kind of, in their own words, a dream pop band. I think. So we've got lots of different stuff going on, but I think that's the idea, to show that there's loads of different people making different music, really, and just to celebrate that, I think.
Amazing. Will that be a ticketed event?
Yeah, so there's an Eventbrite ticket link which will be up on all our social media things and stuff as soon as we announce. I think it's £8 for a ticket, and you get to obviously come to the whole event and the Q&A and all the music at night time, and there's going to be food stalls and bars and merchandise stalls and everything as well. So
grab them when they go live on Monday. Was there like a consideration about how you went about choosing the bands, or is it just you wanted to have as diverse a sound as possible to represent the diverse sounds of the area?
I spoke with Andrew, the curator of the library, and we just kind of thought that it would be good to show a variety of different types of music rather than it be just kind of one side of the thing. Because I think there's so much exciting different stuff going on. Like in Lancaster, you have like the electronic-y type stuff like Hymns for Robots and things, and then there's Jazz Festival, and then there's more punky, rocky type stuff going on at various different venues. And I just thought it was important to kind of celebrate all the different aspects of it, really.
Yeah, and in that wider music ecosystem, how do you hope the Music Co-op will feed into those existing festivals like the Jazz Festival, Lancaster Music Festival, and all of these sorts of things?
I think it always has, really. It's just over the last 3 or 4 years, because it's been shut, it's still in people's consciousness, and I think it always has fed into those things, because all the bands that play at those festivals used to rehearse there.
Yeah.
So I think when we can reopen, it's just going to be more a part of it again.
Yeah.
But we, like, even this year at the music festival, we put on an event here which was all bands who rehearsed at the Music Co-op. So we're just trying to keep the name and the ethos of the place alive whilst it's closed, so that when we reopen, everybody knows we're back with a bang.
Absolutely. There's going to be those who remember it from pre-pandemic days, who miss it and need a place to just escape and jam and create new things. And then, of course, there'll be those, certainly in the last 30 odd years, who will have a very strong memory and a strong relationship with the co-op as well.
And I think a big thing that we need to do as well is find the next generation of people who are going to be the co-op members, really. So we need to make sure that everybody knows about it, in the sense that if you're a young kid and you've never heard of it before, it's an exciting place that you can go and make music. Really. I think that's important. So we're trying to work towards, when we do reopen again, engaging with maybe schools, and just trying to make sure that young people know that it's a space for them as well, really, not just people who've used it previously.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, certainly being around schools and spaces where young people go, in terms of, obviously there's spaces such as, More Music's venue and other similar spaces, and obviously with the closure over the last sort of 13 years of a lot of spaces for young people, I think in terms of having that hub for them again is going to be a really exciting thing. Certainly it's going to be a really important space for those who maybe don't have that opportunity, and to be able to meet up with some people and go, I've just been jamming a few chords, shall we just try something out? And so I think that's probably the main exciting thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And just having a space where you know you can go and do that, I think.
Yeah.
There's not a great deal that you can, well, you can do amazing things at home these days with laptops and everything, but just having a space where you can just go and do whatever you want, really.
Yeah.
And I think being a kid and having that chance is incredible. Like, I was lucky enough to do that, as I was saying before. And like, it was an amazing thing to do. So I think if we can just create a space so that young kids who want to try doing music can just come in and do that, then that's the main goal of getting it open again, really.
Is there kind of a roadmap for where you want to go then when the Musicians Co-op is reopened? Is there anything, any initiatives or any projects that you are looking to really drive forward as soon as those doors are open?
It's kind of difficult at the minute because we're in a bit of limbo knowing when opening's going to be and everything. But one of the big things that we're keen on doing is using it as a kind of a space where there can be workshops and lessons and things going on as well, really, rather than it just being specifically somewhere that you can come and rehearse with your band. So
Yeah.
that kind of engagement on a wider kind of educational and community aspect, I think, is going to be a big part of it.
I think there'll definitely be people who'll be watching and listening today who will probably already have ideas ticking away as to when they see the venue, when they experience it firsthand, then I think there's going to be a lot of people who will show willing and want to be a part of that, I think.
Yeah. And well, and if there is, I think the most important thing to know is that if you want to use it as a cooperative, that's the exciting thing about it, I think.
Yeah.
So if anybody has an idea of, oh, I could do this in there, then just get in touch, basically, because I think it's run by the community for the community. So if people want to do stuff, then come and get involved.
Are you looking for people to help out now? Is there any opportunities for people if they wanted to be a part of the team?
One of the things we're trying to organise is, so we're doing this event in March, but I'm working with one of our other committee members called Oliver. Me and him are trying to put on kind of regular monthly gigs, all different genres, but try and just have one event at least a month. And we'll bring down all our signage and sell t-shirts, and it can be a kind of Co-op Presents gig, in the idea that we can just raise the profile and make sure everybody knows about the Co-op and knows that we're working towards reopening it again.
Yeah.
And also trying to raise some funds selling t-shirts and things.
Yeah.
So I would say if anybody wants to put on a gig or play a gig or has any kind of event idea, then get in touch.
Fantastic. And what would be the best way of getting in touch with the team?
If you look at our website and just email info@lancastermusiccooperative.co.uk, have a look on the website, that's the best thing to do. Dom, the guy who made the website we were talking about before, set up a listings thing, so you can, if you've got your own event going on, you can just upload it to the website and then it'll get put over all the social media platforms and things as well. So we'd really encourage people, if you're putting on a gig anywhere, to advertise it on there, because it's all free and it's good promotion and it gets people through our website too. So
wow,
yeah,
absolutely buzzing for that. Fantastic. And just finally, what advice then would you give to any musician or any music maker out there who wants to kind of start their journey or to get involved with music, and where to go, what support, what advice? I
think you just have to get out there and do it, really. I mean, it's such a different landscape to when I was a kid. Like, I signed a recording contract when I was like 14. I was still at school and we just sent a CD off to Rough Trade and then got a phone call saying, here's the money, just go and make an album. It's like, that's ridiculous now when you think about it. Like, that would never happen these days. You have to already be massive on social media and streaming platforms before even anyone will even speak to you about that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I think it's really tough now for younger people to get involved. But I think what you have to do is just plow on, do it yourself. I don't think anyone's going to help you in the way that people used to. So I think build a community of people around you and just get on with what you want to be doing, really.
That's a really interesting thing when you say build a community, because I think a lot of people, when they see now about the idea of building an online community, for a lot of young people, that is quite alienating, because obviously legally they would not be allowed to have access to those unless they're of a certain age, and of course then there's online safety. So suppose having that physical bricks and mortar space to go to and then form that community, and then from there get the advice and support to then reach out into their community could be quite a powerful thing for them.
Yeah, hopefully. And if we can kind of create it as a space where younger people can be doing workshops or be maybe getting lessons and things, and that kind of leads to a kind of opportunity for people to mentor them a little bit as well. So
absolutely.
again, it being a cooperative and a community thing, hopefully that's something we can make sure happens.
Because one of the lovely eggs, their trajectory into how they've done it has been very much, homegrown and grassroots and led by them,
Yeah, absolutely. David's worked there since he was 16.
Wow.
I think he left school and got an apprenticeship there.
Mm-hmm.
So he's very much been involved in it for a very long time. They kind of are a good example of that DIY ethos, really. Like, you just need to kind of crack on because no one else is going to do it for you.
That's it. Derek, thank you very much for your time today.
No, thank you.
Thanks very much for talking to me in this phenomenally amazing venue, the Cantina in Lancaster.
Yeah.
And look forward to checking out the venue. Shall we go and have a look?
Yeah, let's do it.
Fantastic. Thanks for listening, everyone. I'll see you in the next episode.
Cheers.